Hey, welcome to Coach's Corner, everybody. I'm your host, Coach Tripp, along with my buddy, Billy Pendock. What's up, Billy?
Paulie, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Really blessed here to be on Four-Wheel Drive Show. That's right. We honor the four-wheel drive, four defensive linemen, Syracuse in the 80s. Billy Pendock, who was the leader of that group. Blaze Winter had some surgery, so our prayers and thoughts go out to Blazer. He usually joins us for Four-Wheel Drive. The other two, Timmy Green up there, our high school teammate, both you and I, high school teammate, Liverpool High School. Timmy Green right there, 72, the All-American, academic All-American and first-round pick of the Falcons, now with ALS, as has my teammate from Bama, Kerry Good, who we do Monday night shows. And we're actually going to take some of the theme and from today and talk about a little bit what we talked about with Kerry. Blaze Winter finishes the other right there. Blaze Winter finishes the four-wheel drive. Timmy has a podcast. I think it's called Nothing Left Unsaid, and Blaze has been on it before. But did Blaze talk at all about Timmy's show? I know he went on a Christmas Day last year. I think so. You can, if it's archived, you can go back and see that episode.
Yeah. He, I'm trying to connect with Timmy at some point to get on. I just haven't been able to get. But Blaze told me it's, he's got, hats off to him as far as how he's handling this, and Lord knows you don't wish this on nobody does, and and everybody, we all feel for him every day, and God bless him. God bless him is all I can say, man.
That's absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Timmy has a beautiful family. It's rough. One of my players, Caden Carter, his dad got ALS when I was coaching high school about 15, 20 years ago. That's the first time I was close to ALS. And then Kevin Turner, former Alabama running back in the late 80s, early 90s, Philadelphia Eagle running back. He passed away at ALS. And now our high school teammate, Timmy's had it for 10, 11 years. My college teammate, Kerry Good, had it. He talks a little bit about it once in a while, but I would love to, Troy, his son, Timmy's son, Troy, actually, moderates the podcast. And it'd be good to reach out. If you'd reach out to him, I reached out to him. Maybe we can get him on the show sometime and do it kind of even, maybe ask him questions beforehand or have Troy moderate it, and we'll get something on. But here at Coach's Corner, folks, we try to inspire and educate the mind to think, the heart to feel, and the body to act. Yeah, this episode, of course, is brought to you by our title sponsor, Hill Kelly Dodge. Also, go visit the Seiler Agency, Ronnie's Car Wash, Pensacola Glass, all longtime sponsors of the show. Billy, let's get into it, man. We're going to talk about, captain and leadership qualities.
Excellent.
That you have to have a captain. I was a captain on the teams that I played on in high school and in college. And in those leadership positions, you have responsibilities. It's just that's what's required of captains. These are some characteristics. And Kerry Good, I got some of these from Kerry Good's book, okay, Good and Faithful Servant. Kerry was a captain as well, high school and college. And he says, let's take these one by one, Billy. Remind players of commitments and reinforce team structure. Okay. So what the players have to do is remind the players, of what we're doing and how we're doing it, and remind them of their commitments, because they might go off, and start talking negatively or have different goals. And you got to make sure that the team has goals and everybody is on the same page. I think that schools and organizations should teach courses on leadership. You don't see that much in high school and college, courses on leadership. You have to see it, and those are remind players of commitments and reinforce team structure. What do you think, Billy?
Yeah, I mean, on the whole on that subject alone, that one bullet point you talked about that Kerry come up with, and it's a great one. And you think about, a good leader and a good captain. Everybody's trying to figure out how they develop it or how they what they do. And I remember, we all have memories of growing up, and that, we were all at some point involved with a little bit of leadership at some point in our lives, whether it be the leader of a football team, or the leader of a platoon, or the leader of a squad, like I was when I did police work. I was a supervisor in a SWAT team or a TAC team. But
Right.
But getting back to the football part, I really do think that leadership qualities are in that person. When you can develop some of that stuff, but there are definitely people that would feel more comfortable following rather than being a leader. And we've all seen that, and
it's inherent in some people, is what you're saying, right?
And
they're
like
natural born leaders.
Right. To Kerry Good's point about reminding your guys, it's vitally important that, we think back. I think back of playing with the other three guys, Jerry, Timmy, Blaze, and Jamie, and we would sit in a circle before the game, and you're fighting all these things, like all these press clippings, All America, this #1 defensive line in the country, and I'm like reminding them guys all the time who we are. We're 4 guys from New York State. We come from nothing. We didn't come from something that
Privilege,
we aren't.
privilege, no privilege.
So that's why you remind them guys to stay grounded. A good leader is always on top of somebody that wants to go above and beyond, and remind him that we're all as good as the next guy.
Oh, good point, Billy. Excellent, man. Yeah, you got to have those reminders from those leaders. Leaders are inherent. You can develop some leadership qualities. You absolutely can. But the leaders, I think a lot of leaders are born. I think that's that way with courage. I think of Pat Tillman. I talk about courage with Pat Tillman. We'll have to approach that subject soon. But Pat Tillman had uncommon valor, uncommon courage. Now, yes, he did learn leadership, in college and in the pros when he played football, but he carried it over to the field, the life and death. It wasn't about winning and losing; it was about life and death. And he was a great teammate. But yeah, I think a lot of it's inherent, but some can be learned. All right, number 2.
Well, hold on, Paul, before you go on.
Okay.
To that point of Pat Tillman, that should be a required reading for every athlete and every coach that has kids in the NFL, the college ranks or the high school ranks, because that shows. I mean, that shows what character was back when guys had character. Not to get off the subject, I'm very passionate about this money thing now with everything going on. I don't want to go on a tangent, but
you're right.
That example of Pat, and that's something that we should talk about soon.
Okay, we will. We'll try to get Pat Tillman's wife on actually to show. Because he's an interesting. He needs to be talked about more, and he needs to be remembered for what he did. Yeah, a lot of people don't remember it, but you're right. It goes back to schools and organizations should teach courses about Pat Tillman on leadership, like we were talking about. All right, let's go to number 2. Connect with your teammates on a daily basis to ensure that all players feel valued members of the team. For instance, no small talk. Let's see. When you connect with your teammates, like scout team players, connecting with injured players that just got hurt, talk to the players that had bad games, or maybe just the backups. Talk about a backup that's having a hard time. That's what leaders do, is they keep everybody making sure that even the scout team, I would have a team as a coach. I would tell them that, this scout team player here that doesn't play is just as valuable as a starter, and don't forget it. I look him in the eye and I tell him with sincerity, don't ever forget it. Nobody's better than anybody else on this team. And, that's what a coach does, but also what a leader does is let everybody know that they're valued members of this team. Don't ever get despondent. Don't, if you find a player on your team that's feeling down, go talk to him.
Wow. And that is so valuable. That is 100% right on the money. If we stop this podcast right here and end it on this subject, this is you can't imagine. I can, and I got a great quick story. I'm going away to Pennsylvania next week, and I'm going with a guy that I played at Syracuse with. The guy's name is Jim Rooney. Come out of Pennsylvania, was highly recruited as a linebacker. Ended up getting hit on a kickoff, was dead for so many seconds on the field till they brought him back with the paddles to his chest. Now, he never got a chance to play on the field that much. He was a backup guy. And the guy gave his heart and soul. We used to call it the scrub team, the backups, the Strombo team, the whatever team. You want to call them. Yeah. But and I go to him, I started all 4 years, Paul. And I would always sit down with Jim and we would talk. And we would talk about how, the trials he had of, not, going from a starting position, All-American in high school, to backup guy, to scout team. And and I got to take my hat off, because even though I'm giving this guy pats on the back and saying, hang in there, for guys to do that and hang in there, and we got to have him on the show, because
good.
It is a story that people need to hear. And,
right.
You look back at that thing that happened to Lamar Hamlin when he died, when he went down, the Buffalo player there back a few years back. Right. This is exactly what happened to Jim Rooney. And wow, it wasn't as televised back then in the 80s, but that's a great point. Is that Terry Booth's point or yours?
Yeah, I know, Kerry. This is, these are Kerry's. Kerry's so full of wisdom, man. You got to watch a Monday night show. He's an amazing guy. We dissect his book every Monday night. We take a couple chapters, and he takes the time to answer in AI technology now. And Timmy can do the same thing. He thinks it into the computer, and the computer will spit it out in his voice. Of course, Timmy did television with Fox and color commentating, and his voice was probably a little easier to replicate than Kerry's. But yeah, it's an amazing technology. Here's Kerry's third point on the characteristics of a leader or captain: keeping the practice environment productive, energetic, and efficient. Billy, he said, keep it productive. I added no small talk football only. Be prompt, energetic, give 100% effort with high enthusiasm. And he says, be efficient. And I say, yeah, that's how being prepared, including details. So those are all things: keeping practice environment productive, energetic, and efficient. And how you do that shows leadership to the other players around you.
Exactly. And a lot of that is, and if we can, talking about that point, and you think about how are these guys going to follow a leader? Think about us coming up, and to me, when I looked up at somebody that was a leader, it wasn't about what he said or even what he did. It was about my buying into the respect that I had for that person. And the same thing, goes along with practices and things like that. But you have to gain respect of your players to be a great leader.
Awesome point, Billy. You're right. It's all about respect. Who do you respect the most? When I got to Alabama, it was, oh my gosh, I just could rattle off a whole list of guys I respected. I mean, Major Ogilvy and EJ Jr. and the Lowe brothers, linebacker. I mean, Jeremiah Castile and Tommy Wilcox, 2 DBs, All-American DBs that I learned how to play corner and safety from. I just had nothing but respect for those guys because they always did everything right. They were natural leaders, and I learned so much from them. All right, good point about that, Billy. Let's move on to wait a minute. I did have I took some notes. How are these guys going to follow a leader? And you said with respect, but it's really an example how they show that, how they show themselves. Also, how they keep point number 2. How do they connect and keep everybody a valued member of the team? I remember when I was coaching, I had my favorite player, Trace Penton, God rest his soul. He was such a leader that we would talk about how to keep the other DBs involved during practice. How could we motivate them? Him and I would talk about that. And not only did I keep him involved in those decisions, but he was smarter than I was, okay? Kid had a 4.3 GPA, passed his medical school exams. I mean, he was going to be a doctor. And so I'd value his opinion, but that's what a leader does. He cared enough to get the other guys. He wanted to know what their needs were and how they could get better. All right, let's go to the last point, how to be a good leader or a great captain. Keeping the locker room talk and banter productive and motivating, win or lose, Billy. You have to be positive, shake off bad calls, bad plays, and bad luck.
Sudden change, Paulie. Sudden change.
Yes.
Is we all grew up talking about sudden change. And again, I like to make the analogy that we're not only covering sports here in football and sports, but we're covering things in life. I mean, I've developed some of the leadership stuff, and I took it on with me when I went into my personal life. And the things that I learned back playing college football, sitting down with those 3 guys behind you. Those 3 guys behind you all come from different parts of upbringing. And
right.
And believe me when I tell you, it was every day that I had to sit down with those 3 guys and talk about one tip or another, one thing or another you covered. And again, you remember growing up, you remember in college, you had 1,000 things going on. You had school going on. You had, whatever was happening outside
school,
of that.
Girlfriend, football. Right. Oh yeah.
So you had to calm all that outside stuff for just 2 hours a day. And believe me, it was not easy. And Blaze, Blaze, I love him to death. Blaze carries his heart on his sleeve. And, and what you see is what you get with Blaze. And Jamie was just a wild child and a little bit of the other side. Timmy was very, very mindset. It was hard to read him because he was a thinker, a big thinker, and to be a leader in that in that small group was a challenge. And
it was, man. 4 totally different guys coming together. It's a beautiful thing. We're going to talk actually about that sudden change does come on the football field every game, and it's a good example of sudden change in life that comes on slower. But sudden change does happen. I experience it at 60 years old. Okay. So in life, so sudden change that you did not see coming will hit you blindsided, and you better be ready. It will bury you. Okay. And that's what you learn from leaders, is learn to bounce back no matter what happens in life or on the football field. You got to have a short memory. Matter of fact, Kerry Good and I talk about that chapter in his book, Day 57. He breaks up his book into chapters 1 through 160, 96 days, I think it is. But we're on day 57. It's called Oh Well. You know, when his granddaddy said to him when things didn't work out to his liking, you know, basically he was saying, oh, well, it happened, accept it and move on. You got to have a short memory. We talked about, you know, in the show DBs, like as a DB, and I had to live it, you know, for 20 years as a DB to have a short memory when you got beat. And then for 20 years, I had to coach it, how to teach kids to have a short memory and move on quickly. Because that, like Kerry says, you don't want that bad one play to carry on to the next play, because it will if you let it.
You know, one other tip, and getting back to the four-wheel drive part of the leadership, you know, you think about there's 24 hours in a day. You think about you're together on the football field for 2 hours, and outside of that 2 hours, you got the other 22 hours a day where four guys are thinking of four different things. And to be a guy that holds that bond together, and outsiders watching a football game think, wow, those four guys got to be best friends. Those four guys got to be hanging out together every day after practice. They got to be doing everything together. Whoa, right. Stop the truck right there.
Right. Stop the truck. Put the brakes on that four-wheel drive truck. That's not how it is all the time.
It's tough, man. One last bullet point for you. I just got one tip. I figured I come down with very usually leaders are developed rather than sought after. So if you think about that, if you're looking for a leader, then you're looking the wrong way, because the leader is going to rise above everything.
They'll rise to. That's right. The cream rises to the top. That's for sure. A lot of topics we touched on, but you're right, Billy. It's about respect, and that's how leaders. Some of them, you know, we believe most of it's inherent, but you gotta show those qualities, whether you learn them, and you can learn to a certain degree. You can learn those qualities. So, all right, good stuff, Billy. Hey, shout out, happy birthday to Angelia, a lovely girlfriend. It's her birthday today, so happy birthday, Ange. And
Paulie, I'm gonna call you right. I'm gonna call you right after the show is over. I got to talk to you about Jimmy Rooney.
Okay, all right, good deal. We'll get him on. Oh, that brings up a point. I'm gonna actually have on the Thursday night show tomorrow night, Glover Jackson, former Pensacola State great, LSU basketball player, and former Harlem Globetrotter, moved back here to Pensacola. Yeah, so he's gonna. And I saw an article on him when he won a national championship here at the junior college when he was here, Billy. And he says that, you know, you might think that we were best friends off the court, but we weren't. So maybe we'll die. Yes, and same thing with the four-wheel drive. All you guys didn't hang out together, but on the field, you were one family, and you were one team and one group that came together for the good of all. Right?
Yeah.
And that should be an example for our politics in this country. You know, instead of fighting and hating and all that other bullshit. You know, why don't you have some, you know, some brains about you and some character, integrity, come together for the good of the people. It's all about themselves now. It's not about
you put that stuff aside at some point, and you gotta come together. And again, and I don't mean to get off again on a tangent, but this NIL stuff is teaching these kids the opposite of that, Paul.
It is. It's more selfish now. It's all about themselves. It's getting worse. You know, Billy, I'm not going off on a tangent either. I'm staying on the subject. Coach Bryant, he even in the early 80s, right? He actually talked about it. I've read a couple books, Crimson Heart from Mel Moore, and Dr. Galen McCullough's book, The Game of Life in the Long Shadow of Paul Bear Bryant. You'll learn a lot about Coach Bryant just from those three books. But, you know, he knew, you know, that just wasn't going to be the me attitude. He was sick of it. He was starting to, you know, kick guys off the team, and it was getting worse. And he was fed up with it 40 years ago. He'd be turning over in his grave right now, Billy, with this selfish attitude of this NIL.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't even know. I just don't even know what to think of it. You know.
All right.
It's just,
All right. Lastly, prayers for our brother Blaze and Timmy Green and Kerry Good. And we'll talk as when we get off the show. Thanks, Billy. Love you, man.
Okay, man. Take care, man.
See you, buddy. Billy Pendock, Syracuse, great. What a great show. Talk about leadership qualities. Yeah, it's time to get off the air. Stay tuned for these great messages. If you like the podcast, share it. Go to my YouTube and subscribe. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great sports night. See you soon.
There's a reason why Hill Kelly in Pensacola is the #1 selling Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealer between Jacksonville and New Orleans. While other dealers have taken advantage of a competitive market with higher prices, Hill Kelly has discounted prices to the lowest of the year. And Hill Kelly in Pensacola won't surprise you with excessive charges beyond the selling price. Come see why people from Milton, Pace, Foley, Bay Minette, Daphne, Gulf Shores, Mobile, and beyond are driving to Hill Kelly in Pensacola to buy their next new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram. At Hill Kelly, the bottom line price and your satisfaction are what really matter. So before you sign, check the bottom line and make the trip to Hill Kelly in Pensacola to see what true local ownership can do for you. At Hill Kelly Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Highway 29 in Car City, Pensacola. Or shop online 24/7 at hillkellydodge.com. When it comes to bottom line pricing, nobody beats a Hill Kelly deal. Nobody.
75 years of service in high tech today. It's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348. High tech is a term often applied to advanced services and products in today's marketplace. And today, glass is much more than a simple pane of brittle, see-through stuff we hit baseballs through when we were kids. Glass is now a product with unique flexibility in both performance and application. And Pensacola Glass Company is growing right along. That's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348.
Are you riding around in a filthy vehicle? Dirty car no more. Visit Ronnie's Car Wash today to get it shining in no time. They have 3 convenient locations with another coming soon. The unlimited monthly wash packages start as low as $14.95 per month with free vacuums, multi-purpose spray, and towels. Visit them in Gulf Breeze, Navarre, Fort Walton, and soon Crestview. Don't wait, wash today. Be sure to see Ronnie's Car Wash on Facebook to see the latest specials and discounts. You'll be riding and shining in no time.
That's you trying to fix the plumbing yourself to save a few bucks. Doing things yourself doesn't always end well. The same goes for insurance. That's why Auto Owners works with local independent agents who tailor coverage to meet your needs and offer discounts for life, home, car, and business insurance. Because sometimes you need a professional to get the job done right. That's simple human sense.
My name is Steve Reynolds. I'm the manager and owner of Cordova Lanes, and we help keep your mind out of the gutter. Cordova Lanes is part of the community of Pensacola. Being here for 43 years, we've entertained more people than any other bowling center in the city. We sell fun for a living. Cordova Lanes is located at 2111 Airport Boulevard in Pensacola, behind Cordova Mall. Come on out and see us at Cordova Lanes Bowling Center. Thank you.